Well, Typhoon Danas continuing to roll off here towards the north after impacting much of northern Okinawa and also southern portions of Kagoshima Prefecture. This video coming out of the northern end of Okinawa Hanto, shot by videographer James Reynolds. Second eye wall interception in less than 2 days. That definitely has to be a record out here. And much of the northern extent of the island, when these winds were taking place, winds sustained over 100 kilometers per hour. Max winds reported in the southern Japanese islands today, 193 kilometers per hour out here. That was on Yoran Island there in the southern end of Kagoshima Prefecture. This photo just coming out of that area showing some damage to a few of the buildings out here. Also saw some light debris out here, but really most of it was superficial damage, and that's the good news. The southern Japanese islands are built for typhoons. It is part of the culture here. Really the only time you ever see injuries or deaths is when people venture out into these storms, and at least at this time we have not seen any reports of any casualties when this storm was just off the northern extent of the island, and it really was packing some serious winds and some serious stuff out here. Now, the southern extent of the island, what was forecasted actually came right through. We just saw tropical storm strength winds across the southern half of Okinawa. Really, I like to think of the storm system when it moved through here as just a blown up tornado. It was a very tight center of circulation. Those eye wall winds really did not get very far away from the center of circulation, and you can see right here with the radar imagery at the same time, that's Yoran right in the middle of the eye. That storm system really just whacked that island. But right here in these areas in the reds and the yellows, that is that inner eye wall. That is where the worst of this weather took place. But also some of those outer rain bands did bring some gusty winds a little bit farther down there towards the south. Where is this storm system headed now? Because this is shot around 1600 Japan Standard Time here on Monday. But now Danas continues to roll off there towards the north. It is still a fairly strong and potent typhoon, racing at about 30 kilometers per hour, headed there towards western portions of Kyushu. Southern portions of South Korea, you're also going to be getting on in the action here. I do think the worst of the storm, that right front quadrant, is just going to be whacking Nagasaki area. Even those in Sasebo, I know you're expecting, according to the base there, winds gusting up to 80 knots. That is very well possible, and even typhoon strength winds very well possible as the storm system rolls by. Now, it's going to slowly weaken as it moves off here towards the northeast, but really, it's still going to be packing quite some intense winds, and that tight inner eye wall I was talking about will definitely start to spread out as it starts to encounter the mid-latitude winds out here, but much cooler sea surface temperatures, so that's going to be a big game changer. But as far as the winds, well, the worst of it will be here across the western portions of Kyushu. 10-meter high waves are likely, and as far as JTWC is concerned, it's really just going to skirt the coastline here. Sasebo seeing a CPA about 38 nautical miles. Iwakuni, I know that we have a lot of people watching from there. If you're in the inland sea, you're really going to be seeing these winds come on shore out of the sea, but you will be somewhat sheltered, so that's the good news. Tropical storm strength winds still very well likely, even out there towards Kyoto, but we're talking about Tokyo area. The good news is this is going to be staying on the Sea of Japan coastline, so I don't think Tokyo is really going to be seeing very much of the effects from this storm system. So let's take a look at the model outlook here from JMA, and you're really going to be seeing the heavy precipitation come on shore here going through, well, Tuesday afternoon into the evening hours. That's just the precipitation. Let's take a look at the MSL. It's expected to move right over Tsushima here, even wavering a little bit farther down there towards the south. Here around, well, this is saying about 2300. I do think it'll be a little bit earlier than that, likely around 6 to 8 p.m. When this just skirts the coastline here, moving through the Tsushima Strait, and that's really when you're going to be seeing these very, very strong winds. So, still a very serious storm system to watch. Also, take a look at this. The waves out here are going to be up to about 8 to 10 meters high, like I said, along the southern coast. So, if you have any plans going into the coastlines here from Nagasaki, extending through Sasebo all the way down there towards the southeast, these waves are going to be not only high, but rather intense and rather dangerous by Wednesday. Well, this is Wednesday morning, but I do think by Tuesday evening as well, it's really going to be really kicking up out here. Now, that is all on really that storm's impact down here towards the south. It will get wrapped up with this frontal area, which is pushing across Korea. That is also tied in with Vito, which has just been bringing some severe flooding in and around Fujian province, but that's going to act as a plow, and by this time the storm system starts to push through the Tsushima Strait, it's really going to even pick up its pace faster. I mean, it's already moving at a fairly fast pace. Shoot out there towards northern Japan. Heavy rainfall expected across much of this area. A very serious risk of flooding. But behind it, it doesn't get quiet out here. It just seems like back-to-back-to-back storms, and this area here and this area here. Yes, two areas, and off the screen towards the west, the Bay of Bengal, we're going to be following Cyclone Phelan, very well developing, but Typhoon Nari is possibly, at least Tropical Storm Nari, possibly going to be forming up here in the next 72 hours. Where is this next storm system going to be going? Well, both of these, at this time, to be honest, the area near Guam, I do think that's going to remain farther towards the east. Possibly, but this one near the Philippines, in the Philippine Sea, Philippines to Taiwan to the southern Japanese islands. Yes, again, you want to watch this very closely. This is the NavGem output showing both of these storm systems developing. Also, Cyclone Phelan very well developing and pushing up there towards even around the Chennai area there into the Indian Ocean. And then, well, this one doesn't get its act together according to the NavGem model, but this one starts to become a little more organized. NavGem remaining weak on it. Very intense on Cyclone Phelan developing. No, let's take a look at GFS because it's night and day as far as the model development. This one, yes, that develops. This starts to get its act together going into the weekend, but let's take a look near the end of the model run. Yeah, that's by Monday of next week, a full-fledged typhoon right there. Another one farther there towards the east. ECMWF, it has a very similar situation with this, but it keeps it farther south, impacting the Philippines. And ECMWF has been fairly accurate with the last few storms, so that is something to keep in mind. Also, a little bit of Fujiwara effect. You see these storms tied up here according to the GFS model. That's about a week out. I mean, you can't get any longer range than that as far as accuracy, so a lot could change. But what the key thing to note here, if you have watched all the way through the 7 minutes of this video now, please let me know if you did. I always appreciate that feedback. Is that the models are being aggressive right now on something developing out of this area of cloud cover here in the Philippine Sea. So with that said, everybody, thanks for watching here at westernpacificweather.com. I'm going to try to take a little bit of a break, but our next video update will be here going into Tuesday morning. Also on NHK World all evening. If you did not watch me there, just Google NHK World. We stream live there. Let's hope that these storm systems do not cause any casualties. We have been, so far, extremely fortunate with Fito, no casualties reported. Danas, nothing thus far. And hopefully with the next storm systems, we do not see anything out of this area. Stay safe out there, everybody.